I appreciate everyone's patience as it took us a little delay here, but we'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. My name is Steve Fink. I'm a Senior Associate Athletic Director for Communications here at the University of South Carolina, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's press conference as we begin a new chapter in South Carolina athletics. Today we will hear first from University of South Carolina President Michael Amarides, who will introduce our new Athletics Director, Jeremiah Donati. Also on the dais today is the Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Thad Westbrook. After Jeremiah makes some opening remarks, we will then open up for questions from the media. If you will, raise your hand and we will get a microphone to you at that time. Following the press conference, we'll have a short opportunity for photos here with our new athletic director and his family, and of course, people on the dais. And then we will have an opportunity for some short meet and greet after that. We do, as you can probably imagine, both the president and the athletic director have a busy schedule today, and so we do have a hard out at 4:30 today, so plan accordingly with that. With that, I'll turn the program over to our president, Michael Amarides. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Back in September, when Coach Tanner and I announced his new role, the press actually asked me what I would be looking for in a new athletic director. I told them that my preference is to hire someone who has been in this position and has been successful. I also added that I would prefer someone who has done so in one of the Power 4 conferences in the country. Since then, I met with a number of different groups: our university trustees, the board of the Gamecocks Club, our coaches, our administrators in the athletic department, our biggest supporters, and our student athletes leadership. And I asked them all the same questions. I asked them which characteristics I should look for and which characteristics I need to avoid. And despite the big differences between these groups, they converted to the same advices that I received from all of them. They want somebody who is successful, experienced, visionary, great communicator, fundraiser, friendly, and the list kept going on. I have to admit that after these meetings, I started thinking that I would be looking for a unicorn. But what I found out as we started approaching candidates was the strength and the respect the whole college athletic community has for the Gamecocks and for the work that Ray Tanner and his predecessors have done. Only one person that we approached, and we approached a lot of them, was not interested in having a discussion. Only one. And I also found out that there is a unicorn at Dallas with a first name and a last name: Jeremiah Donati. Jeremiah has done a fantastic job as the athletic director of TCU. The national success and the conference championships of the TCU teams speak for themselves. The academic success of the student athletes, the impressive fundraising results, the facilities built or renovated during his tenure, his presence in the national scene and the respect of his peers, and his principles and personality. All of them combined differentiated Jeremiah from the rest of the group that we talked to. I remember a few weeks ago, in my final meeting with one of the groups, our biggest supporters of the athletic department, one of them summarized the discussion that we had, saying, basically, we're telling you that you need a lawyer and a businessman who has done this work very well, who can project the future and can find the money that he will need. And then he also added, and of course, a very nice person. Everyone laughed that evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to present to you and introduce to you this person, our new athletic director, Jeremiah Donati.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you. Good afternoon. And thank you all for being here today. The staff, coaches, student athletes, I'm so fired up to start working with you all. Thanks for taking time out of your day to be here. This has been a whirlwind, to put it mildly. And forgive me if I just take a moment to take it all in. This is a special moment for me. It's a special moment for our family. And I'm just so grateful and humbled. It's very surreal. I am beyond thrilled to stand before you today as the next athletics director at the University of South Carolina. And just to hear myself say that feels a little surreal. It's such an honor. It truly is a dream come true to come for me and my family to be here. And we're so anxious and excited to become part of the Gamecock family. I want to start by thanking President Michael Emeritus and the chair of the board, Thad Westbrook, for your faith in me and for allowing me to serve in this role at this outstanding institution. Upon meeting you both, it was clear to me how much you care about this institution, how much you care about the city of Columbia, the state of South Carolina, and the students here most importantly. Your vision, their vision, was so inspiring to me. It was candidly a huge factor in my decision. From the bottom of my heart, thank you both. I would also like to thank the members of the Board of Trustees who just approved my appointment, who also share a deep passion for this university and this community, and I'm so grateful for your confidence in me. I look forward to getting to know all of you and to working with you side by side in the years to come. So, as you all know, this is a time of historic change and uncertainty in the world of college athletics. Beginning next summer, for example, many drastic changes will take effect, and much of what we know will never look the same. And yet, meanwhile, there has never been more pressure to win on the courts and on the fields than right now. The stakes have never been higher. And I believe that the programs that will be most successful in these unpredictable times, those that will truly shine, those that will truly thrive, will not only wholeheartedly accept the changes in front of them, that the landscape is changing, but they will adapt to this new environment in all that they do. And I assure you, we will do both here. In doing so, I'm confident that we also will thrive. It will take great planning, it will take great collaboration, it'll take great teamwork, not just within the department, but across campus and across the city of Columbia, because these plans, they're not gonna be my plans. It's not gonna be my ideas alone, my plans, they will be our plans. We will share in our collective success together, we will have our footprints on this together, and we will win together. When it comes to winning, speaking of which, I understand the standard here is set very high at USC. Wearing the colors of garnet and black comes with big expectations across the board and everything we do, and that is a great thing. I welcome those expectations. I want to dream with you about what's possible here. Candidly, that's why I'm here. That's one of the biggest reasons I came, is to dream with you all. Although I do not know him well yet, I just met him, Mr. Ray Tanner, I have a ton of admiration and respect for the work that Ray has done in the athletics program he has built here. I firmly believe I'm coming on board at the perfect time, and we are extremely well positioned for future success. The challenge, of course, is building on this great foundation and achieving more and flying higher. And so I'm really looking forward to working with Coach Tanner. I'm really looking forward to working with our staff and in the coming months and years. And although I do not technically start until January, I'm so eager to meet our staff and our coaches. Today, I'll be around tomorrow, and together we're going to build upon what's going well, and we're going to address the opportunities for improvement. And again, we're going to do this together. But I'll tell you this much: there's four things we're really going to prioritize. Number one, starts with academic success and achievement, making sure our student athletes get their degrees from the University of South Carolina. Number two, we are going to deliver an unbelievable student athlete experience for all of our Gamecocks. Number three, there's going to be an emphasis on driving revenue and identifying areas of growth and for development. And of course, four, we are going to compete at the very highest level for SEC and national championships. I pledge that we will pursue excellence in all of these, and we will do so while staying true to the mission and values of the University of South Carolina. Before I conclude and open up for questions, I've got plenty of people to thank. You don't do this alone, and I've been very fortunate to have a tremendous amount of support behind me all along. And first and foremost, I want to acknowledge and thank my dear friends and colleagues at TCU and in Fort Worth, Texas right now. I am so grateful for my time, my 13 years at TCU, and I could not have asked for a more wonderful experience there. Candidly, it had to be the perfect opportunity for my family and I to consider leaving, and we found that here. I cherish every moment at TCU. I'm thankful to my staff, our coaches, our student athlete. I'm especially grateful to Chancellor Victor Boschini, his wife Megan, and President Pullen for giving me the opportunity to lead the department. I will miss all of you very much, but I've created so many lifelong friends there, and I know that those will continue. Next, I'd like to thank my friends and family and my mentors for their continued support for me personally and professionally. My dad, my best friend, could not be with us today, unfortunately, but he's here with us in spirit. As you know, the business of college athletics is a wild, wild ride, and having people around you who support you through the tough times and the good times is truly a gift, and I've been given a tremendous gift. So thank you for your support. Thank you, Willie Funk. Thank you, Matt Kelly. Thanks for your help shepherding this process. I feel so honored to be here today to share this moment with my mom, Donna Donati, who is an inspiration to me and is my biggest fan, perhaps, but also can be my biggest critic. And I mean that lovingly, Mom. I love you to death. Thank you so much. To our family's dear friends, Ferris Perry, Michael Gonzalez, thank you both so much for being here and making the trip. Love you both. Thank you for all you do for our family. To my MVP and our VIPs, my MVP, my beautiful wife, my beautiful, wonderful wife, Nicole, who truly is the rock of our family. Thank you so much for supporting me and us. I know how much responsibility you carry. It's not easy to be the spouse of an athletics director, and I love you more and more each day. I really appreciate all that you do for us. My VIPs, my other bosses, with all due respect, sitting right there. I love to call them my other bosses, the greatest joys of our lives, my two daughters, Colette and Naomi. Thank you for being supportive of your dad, so supportive of your dad. It means the world to me. Thank you for making me laugh every day, keeping me humble, keeping me on my toes. I know the two of you will love it here in Columbia, and I'm looking forward to having you out here. And finally, to all of Gamecock Nation out there, to our alumni, to our fans, to our coaches, our faculty, our staff, our students, and most importantly, our student athletes, I promise you I am going to give you everything I have in this role, everything. It is hard to overstate just how excited I am about being part of this incredible program, carrying on the amazing traditions that come with being a Gamecock. This is the flagship institution in the great state of South Carolina, and we play a critical role in the development of the local and statewide communities, and equally as important, in the development of young people, and that will always be our North Star. I accept all the challenges and opportunities that come ahead, and I do so with great humility and enthusiasm. And with that, let's go. Go Gamecocks, and Spurs up. Thank you, everybody.
With that, we'll open up for questions. If you would raise your hand, Michael and Brian have mics, and of course we'll go to David with the first one. If you would, please introduce yourself as well and who you represent.
Hello, Jeremiah. David Cloninger with the Charleston Post and Courier. Welcome to South
David.
Carolina.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've dealt with NIL, the revenue sharing, the new things that are approaching college athletics at TCU. Is it as simple as bringing the plan that you had to deal with it over there to here?
Yes and no. It's changing, And so what's going to be new for all of us is when revenue sharing hits. And so we know with that permissive cap, those rules will look very similar, right? $20.5 million, that's not going to change. So, I'll be really excited to sit down with our coaches and understand a little bit more of our plan here. I understand kind of the framework of it, but that's, we have a tremendous commitment from the university to do that. That says a lot about the commitment overall into athletics. And so I think the real key there is going to be, what does NIL look like? What is the traditional NIL that we thought we signed up for back in 2021? What does that look like when July 1st hits? And we have hopefully real NIL, and we've got the revenue sharing on the other side. So difficult to say right now. I'm going to spend a lot of time, in the coming weeks and months figuring out, how our collectives are working and, what other NIL support we can, because that will be critical. Traditional NIL support, if you will be incredibly important for our student athletes, and so we're going to be very aggressive there.
Hey, Jeremiah, Jordan Kay with the state newspaper.
Jordan.
When you got the TCU athletic director job, it was just an in-house promotion. Mm-hmm. When you get this, what is going to be your balance of trying to understand this place, but also bring in a fresh perspective as someone who's coming from the outside?
A good question. So, it's take a little time. There'll be an acclimation period just because, I'm new to the state and I've got a whole new staff. And like you said, when I was promoted at TCU, a lot of those people I'd worked with. And so that'll take some time, but, candidly, that's the fun part and getting to understand where everybody is. A big thing for me is really ensuring that the program is built for the future, because as I mentioned in my comments, it's changing so fast that, I think every athletics department needs to make sure we're preparing for the next 5 to 10 years and not what we did the previous 5 to 10 years. So it'll take some time. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I've got to get a chance to get to know all the coaches and student athletes, and I look forward to that. That's the fun part of it. So I asked them to be a little patient with me, but they'll see that I work really hard. And even though my family won't be with me in the spring, they're gonna finish out their school years. In some ways, it's a gift, because I can spend a little more time developing those relationships, and so I'm looking forward to it.
Rick Henry, WIS-TV here in Columbia. Welcome to South Carolina.
Thank you, Rick.
When you were being courted by the university, what turned out to be the #1 selling point that made you say yes?
Well, great question. It was probably a few things. One, it was the leadership, and as I mentioned in my remarks, you want to go, I think in life, you want to go to places that are on an upward trajectory. That was one of the reasons why I chose to go to TCU. You can see pretty clearly this place is on a tremendous trajectory. And so it was easy to see that from a distance, but when you see the passion people have for this university, you want to be at a place where there's big expectations, where there's resources. And so I'm not answering your question. There wasn't one thing, it was a number of things. We wanted to be in a great college town. We wanted to be in a place where a community where we could raise our family. Those were all, very important. So it wasn't just one thing, it was a lot of things. But I'll tell you, I knew very early on, it wasn't very early on, I knew the moment I met President Emeritus and Thad Westbrook that these were special people, and this was a special place.
Beth Houle from Fox Carolina out in Greenville, South Carolina.
Hi.
Coach. We, Jeremiah, have done kind of a deep dive on you and found, you going out and doing these podcasts and you out in front of your fan base. How much does that continue as you come here, and how valuable was using those resources and getting out and using your own voice to be in front of your fan base? How valuable did you find that? What were the positives, and do you carry those over as you move here to Columbia?
Absolutely. I think in our roles, you want to be visible, you want to be transparent. It's a great way to engage fans, engage students. I've found that, especially in social media, sometimes the best way to engage our student athletes is to send them a note after a game on Instagram and just show them I was, impressed or whatever it is. So that'll continue. In fact, I met with the communications team this morning about some ideas that they have. I think it's very important to be open and honest with the fan base. They want to hear from you when things are going great, but they also want an explanation when they're not. And so there's a balance there. But I plan to continue to do those things and to find other ways. I think that the podcast, for example, I think is a tremendous tool that you see some people doing really well. I think we're talking about exploring doing that in the future here as well. So I'm open to any ideas. So Gamecock Nation, you got some ideas, send them our way. You know, I'll be on social media, and when I switch over my social media accounts, and you know, at the end of the day, I won't be hard to find.
Hey, Jeremiah, Jack Velcher at GamecockCentral.com. Nice to meet you, and welcome to Columbia.
Thank you.
You spent time at Lee Steinberg, Sports and Entertainment. Yeah. How does that experience as in the agency business kind of help you when you're in this role as an AD now?
Well, Lee, if you're watching, I love you. Hope all's well in Newport Beach. Lee actually represented a student athlete here not too long ago at USC. At the time, I wouldn't have known, right? Because, you know, we were doing marketing deals before there was NIL. In fact, you know, I always thought it was interesting that, you know, the pros could do NIL deals, but the college students, you know, couldn't. So when NIL started becoming a concept, if you will, I was one of the first that was an advocate for it. So all that to be said, that experience was invaluable, and Lee was so great to me. He's a mentor. For those of you who don't know Lee, you can watch the movie Jerry Maguire. He's the inspiration of that movie, and I'm forever grateful for the 5 years I had with him in California. So it was, at the time, I never would have imagined that getting a law degree and working in a sports agency would prepare you so well, you know, for the post-COVID NIL world, but it did, hopefully, and so here we are. But I'm very grateful for my time with Lee.
Traven Gray with the state newspaper.
Hi.
So when you were having conversations, when you were getting ready to join the team, kind of what was your pitch to the guys, and overall, what's your vision for the role?
What was my pitch to the president and to Thad? You know, we talked a lot about adapting to the changing environment, and I think, as I mentioned in my comments, you know, it's you know, we're talking about revenue sharing with student athletes, which is, you know, more or less, you know, changing college athletics forever, right? But guess what? There's more coming, right? Because sooner or later, they're going to be student athletes. We're going to have the discussion about them being employees. You know, there's a bevy of other lawsuits there that threaten our model, if you will, and so we're not going to be able to solve all those problems, you know, in a vacuum. It's going to take a lot of forward looking. It's going to take a lot of collaboration, and so, you know, I was trying to impress upon them that, you know, we're going to be ready for that, and we're going to be. That's one of the things I think I can bring to the table. A couple of things, candidly, I thought were really intriguing about this opportunity were the stadium renovations potentially. I was fortunate to do that twice, or to be a part of that twice at TCU, and in the multi-use entertainment district. You think about building together. I've seen other examples of that around the country, but having a connection directly to the university and have this branded South Carolina Gamecocks is pretty special. There's not many places in the country that could pull that off. So, you know, we're gonna, over the coming months, we'll do a better job of coloring our vision. I need a chance to really understand. This is not a fixer-upper, right? This is not here because things are going poorly. Things are going really well, and the question is going to be, the challenge is going to be how can you fly higher? So it'll take a time to understand where those, you know, any gaps in excellence are and where those opportunities are, but we'll be ready.
Hey, Jeremiah, Pete Iacobelli from the Associated Press here. Welcome to Columbia.
Thank you.
The Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, it's a big area with a lot of things going on. Is there maybe an advantage to the more focused area here, the alumni base, the fan base that's clearly within these borders, that you can take even more advantage of things than even at TCU?
Maybe. We'll see. I think so. I think, you know, I'm really looking forward to getting on the road and seeing the areas around here and getting to know where our fan bases are and kind of what's on their mind. But you're right. As I was flying in last night, it occurred to me just how vast this area is spread out. And so you know, it's really neat to be in such a college town. Fort Worth's a college town, but it's very different, as you said. I think Fort Worth's the 13th biggest state in the country. Someone made the point to me that a short while ago here that the university used to build into the city, and now the city builds into the school. And so the city of Columbia really is the University of South Carolina. It's pretty neat. So I haven't had that opportunity. I grew up in Pullman, Washington, which is at a much smaller scale. So to answer your question, it's fun to see. I mean, I met 30 people walking around town today, and they're all wearing garnet and black. It was almost like they were kind of staged, kind of released them, you know? And so that was, in fact, the very first person I met last night recognized me and wanted to have a conversation about NIL and what we were going to be doing for some of our players. So Coach Beamer will talk afterwards, but I'm looking forward to being in a true college town and just jumping right in.
We got time for one more to keep us on schedule, Reggie.
Reggie Anderson, WLTX TV. Having been through the fire as the AD, what did you learn? Some things that you may have learned on the fly that have prepared you for this second stint as being in that chair.
It's not a popularity contest. And I think when you're a younger AD and you're doing it for your first time, I made a comment that, I made myself so available and to answer every single question. And while I want to do that, it's not sustainable, and it's not probably the best use of my time as athletics director here. So you kind of learn those things, quickly of where you need to put your priorities and where you need to put your focus. And so, it was funny, when I became athletics director, it wasn't long after that we had the pandemic. And so I was, 2 years into the role, and we were trying to figure out what life was going to be like. And so that was, I think, coming. If you've ever seen The Godfather, the movie, there's such thing as a wartime consigliere. I think working in a sports agency probably prepared me a little bit for this job. And so, I've obviously had a tremendous amount of, challenges along the way. Every athletics director does, but you build on those things, you learn from those things, and those things hopefully make you better. But I've been fortunate, and I know Chris Del Conte is probably watching this. He was a great mentor of mine, and I got to ride shotgun with him when I was in the number 2 role at TCU, and so I learned a lot from watching him. Jim Livengood was a mentor of mine. He was the athletics director at Washington State and then Arizona. So, I've kind of stood on the shoulders of giants. I've really seen a lot of people that have done it at a high level. Lee Steinberg, you mentioned, Victor Boschini. So when you're around great leaders like that, you hope it brushes off on you. And I think I've been fortunate that I've learned a lot from those people.
Why don't we go ahead and get some photos here?
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Why two of them? The second one is for...
I got the bigger head, probably.
You might want to step away from it.
Oh, I'm supposed to put the
You can put one on too.
Not the athletic.
Okay.